Welcome into Mock Trial Masterclass, your guide to controlling the courtroom. I'm Luke and I want you to be a mock trial master. Let's talk about how you can make that happen. In mock trial, when you have a witness who is the victim of a crime, it gives you a lot of opportunity for a great performance on direct examination. And so what we're going to do in this video is talk about how you can make the most of those opportunities. We'll do that by looking at a witness statement, and I'll take you through the exact process that I would use to create a direct examination for that victim part. Before we hop in, I want to remind you that if you have any topics or questions or anything you want us to cover on the Mock Trial Masterclass YouTube channel or podcast, please leave a comment below. I love making content that answers your questions, that gets you guys the help that you need. So let's hop into this together. And to start out, we're just going to open the witness statement and take a look at it together. Now, for a little bit of context, this is a witness statement, as you can see at the top there, from this past year's Tennessee high school mock trial case. The affidavits and witness statements in Tennessee are really short and to the point, so they're great to look at for an exercise like this one. So this person, Ronnie Montgomery, to sum it up, was the victim of a crime, a break-in at their house that occurred with two masked gunmen who had on clown masks and destroyed a lot of Ronnie Montgomery's property. Another thing you should know is that the defendant in this case was Ronnie Montgomery's neighbor, who sent Ronnie Montgomery messages leading up to the day of the incident saying, "You will pay." At least that's what we think based on the case. Hopefully that's enough context to understand what we're dealing with here. I'll give you more context as we go if you need it, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight into how I handle direct examinations for victim parts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the affidavit when I look at a victim affidavit. And as you can already see by me scrolling around here, I'm going to highlight some things in a few different colors. The first thing I'm going to highlight, and that is what in this is highlighted in green, are facts that are going to help my side of the case. Because in a victim direct, you're going to get a whole lot of story, and you can really go back after the fact and dig into some of that story. But the first thing that I'm concerned about is, what are the facts in this affidavit, in this witness statement, they're going to help my side of the case. They're going to sell the jury that that defendant over there is guilty of victimizing this person. So some of the things that I've already gone through with this witness statement and highlighted in green, we'll go through together. So here's the first one here. Jules got really angry. And I mean, I've never seen anyone so mad. Jules was like, "You did this. This is because you set off those illegal fireworks." And then a little more right beneath, "Now I have to smell this in my house forever. You will pay. Until the smell is gone, you will suffer as I have to suffer." And that's a promise. Pretty easy to see how this is evidence that helps the prosecution side of the case, right? We have a statement here from the defendant, which is admissible as an admission by a party opponent under the hearsay rule, and it's going to come in and it's going to really help us because we have the defendant making these threats that ultimately for the prosecution we're saying that the defendant followed through on those threats. We'll look at a couple more of the things I highlighted in green. I started getting anonymous phone calls. I picked up the first time I heard a super creepy voice, probably someone using one of those voice changers, say, "You will pay." Now, this is really important because up here, like we saw, we had a message from the defendant themselves saying, "You will pay." And then down here, we have another message saying, "You will pay." Potentially, there's a connection there. And actually, some of the evidence within this case pointed to there being a connection there. We'll look at one or two more of these green highlights. So I opened the envelope. This is after the break-in has occurred. To see if Jules, who was the defendant, if his letter contained a handwritten note, and it did. It said, "Thank you, Jules." Obviously, Jules wasn't too thankful if Jules couldn't say more than that. I used my own money to hire a handwriting expert to see if the handwriting from the card matched the writing on my hallway mirror. What you may not know about this case is that "you will pay," this phrase that we've dealt with a couple times here, was written on the mirror at the break-in. And what this person found is that the handwriting from Jules Cap's handwriting and the handwriting on the mirror was a match. So that's obviously huge evidence that helps us because we have this third instance of "you will pay," and we have a handwriting expert saying that that was written by the defendant. So the green things, again, this is really important because these are kind of the main facts that you want in your direct from a theory standpoint that are going to really help your case, that you're going to want to make sure you emphasize and you dig into. That's a good starting place. Where I'm moving on to from that point when I look at a witness statement for a victim direct, it's all about emotion. Because these directs tend to be very dramatic, especially when you're dealing with someone who's been through some trauma like this, like a break-in with masked gunmen at their house. And so you have a lot of opportunity for drama, for emotion in those directs. And you really want to make sure you mine those opportunities and you hit those spots really, really precisely. But you don't just want to be sad within the context of your dramatic or main character victim witness direct like this. What you want to have is a variety, a range of emotions, because a sad witness who just sits on the stand and is sad for 7 to 10 minutes is not that interesting. You want to have certainly those moments where the witness is more sad as they're recalling these traumatic things that have happened. But you also want opportunities for this witness to show a softer side of themselves, a more happy side of themselves. So as I go through looking at emotion, I'm looking for two types of emotion. I'm looking for the sad stuff and I'm looking for happier stuff. Let me show you what I mean. So as I've gone through this affidavit, I've highlighted in yellow what I think are some opportunities for the witness to have some happier emotion. Now, again, you're contrasting this with sad stuff, so we're not expecting a witness to, this big smile on their face and having the best day of their life, right? No, that's not going to happen. But just a few moments of relief so that maybe the witness can crack a smile or connect with the jury on something that makes them happy. Let me show you some examples that I've highlighted in this witness statement. So first of all, I love 4th of July. That's the best holiday of the year, hands down, because of all the fireworks. I love fireworks. Weird that someone is that obsessed with fireworks. I'll leave that up to you to decide. But this is something that the witness can easily smile about, talking about, man, I love 4th of July. I love fireworks. You can just see that smile coming from a potential witness talking about this. And we see more about fireworks down here that we can continue to show another side of the witness beyond just being sad, right? All the fireworks I get for $150, Jimmy loaded me up enough to fill my whole trunk. And then we have some stuff about the 4th of July night itself. I invited some friends over to my place. You can smile, add Pete and Tommy over, make up a detail or two like that that's, inconsequential to the case if you want to. We had Roman candles, we had sparklers, spinners, all these things with the fireworks, I think are just opportunities for this witness to show a different side of themselves beyond just the sad victim of this crime. They can smile, they can talk about these things that they enjoy, having their friends over. It's just, again, a little bit of variety, a little bit of a change of pace. There's some more yellow down here, even amidst the sad stuff, because as we're going to talk about in a minute, this orange is the more dramatic, sad stuff. But there's some more yellow stuff down here. So this witness is talking about something that was damaged in the break-in. My great-great-grandfather's Svetson cologne, a family heirloom, was smashed and my mattress was soaked with it. So that sucks on the surface, right? You look at it. But here's the thing. If you really dig in, you can say, well, what if this witness is talking about her old grandfather who this cologne belonged to and smiles a little bit? It's like, yeah, and I lost that cologne. I really remember when Grandpappy or whoever gave it to me, right? There's just a different side of the witness. Again, something to allow them to smile, to inflict some air into the room among the sadness. You do the same thing down here with the prize-mounted duck. We go right back to Grandpappy there. Have Grandpappy up here, Grandpappy down here. And then, my betta fish, Freddie, didn't make it. Sad, yes. But what if we talked about a memory he has with Freddie, the goldfish, right? Or the betta fish, And my betta fish, Freddie, it wasn't much, it's not like a dog, but I'd get home every day and it made me happy to see Freddie, Just anything like that that's a variety so that we're not just sad and dramatic for the entire direct examination. Now, the fireworks, your real fireworks in a dramatic direct and an emotional victim direct like this are going to come from the sad stuff. And there's obviously plenty of that here, as you can see by the orange highlights. Let's dig into a couple of those. So we have just talking about an interaction she had with the defendant anyway. I was a little rattled. That's something you can lean into those dramatic moments. I was so frustrated by the endless calls, I threw my phone across the room. I decided to cool off by taking a walk. She's mad, and now she's about to be scared. And when I got home, I realized that my front door was unlocked, ... Heard noises in my bedroom, so I grabbed my pistol. Then 2 people came out of my room. They were wearing bulky, full-body jumpsuits and gloves. The masks were terrifying. One of them had a gun, and on. And this is the story of the break-in. So obviously there's a lot of opportunity for drama, for sadness from this witness here. So I'm going to tell you what I do after looking at the affidavit to wrap up this whole process. But before I do, I want to remind you that my book, Mock Trial Masterclass, is available on Amazon. And there's a full guide in here on creating not just victim directs, but any other type of direct, as well as everything else you need to do to be a great attorney in mock trial. And if you want to pick up a copy, you can do so by clicking the link in the description on YouTube or in the show notes on podcast platforms. So once I have gone through an affidavit and I've highlighted these three areas, the big facts that help my side of the case, the facts that are going to be happier for the witness, and the facts that are going to be very, very sad, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to literally draw out a graph of emotional moments. And I'll show you an example of what that might look like if you're watching on YouTube right here. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to say, okay, where in this direct do I want to put the happy moments so that there's some variety with the sad moments, with the goal of leading all the way to the most dramatic, the most sad moment, because that's going to be the peak of a direct like this. You really want to control the emotion with your witness. You want to give them the best opportunities to succeed by organizing the direct in that way. So once I've done these highlights, I'm going to draw out that graph. I'm going to map that out precisely. And once I've done that, then writing the direct is very easy. Then you can almost make it formulaic. You're going to have the witness introduce themselves. What's your name? What do you do for a living? And then you just go right into your emotional arc that you've drawn out. And you're interspersing throughout that the big facts that are going to help your case. You really want to tie those to those emotional moments if you can. And then you can fill in the other parts of the story as needed. But that's really all there is to it when creating a good, dramatic victim direct. The big thing to remember is just that emotional arc. You want a balance of those big and you want a balance of those happy and sad emotions. You don't want it to be completely linear. And that should be the driving force of your direct. If you follow that, your victim direct is going to be fantastic. It's going to rise to the level of a mock trial master every single time.